Hello, my evolving people of the world. As we're all slowly turning into cyborgs, I came to a conclusion yesterday in deep thought on one of my many walks that I take every day to not go insane. And that is that we must accept AI and technology as a whole and adapt to the ever changing world or be left behind like many of our parents and grandparents were when Yahoo and Amazon and all these tech companies that are running the planet started up back then. It's the same sort of thing for people my age. And for those that are younger, I advise you to dive in deeper than what might be available in a few years to common people and learn what many millennials have learned in order to know the concepts of computing. Because my next thought was that, and this is a conversation that I've had with one of my best friends many times, is that not all of them, I'm not going to speak for a full generation. As a matter of fact, I think generation in general is a way to separate the population in order for us not to get along as well as we could, because really millennials and Gen Zers have more in common than any other generation on the planet besides maybe millennials and Gen Xers. And that is the fact that many Gen Zers, again, not all of them, there are Gen Zers that know computers much better than I ever will, and I don't really know how to code or anything like that, but I know my way around a Linux terminal, for instance, because I'm a nerd, and not all millennials are like that. I know less than an expert and more than the average person will say. But I would say most of my generation knows how to get deep into the Windows settings or Mac settings and change things around. And we know how to learn the computer systems that we grew up into, right? And it's because computers were so slow and crappy back when they were coming out, back when we were in high school. Windows 95, Windows 98, Millennium Edition. I have another subject that has to do with crappy computers in a second, but let me finish my thought. As AI emerges and we get things like Copilot, it'll be so easy that my parents will be able to do everything I basically can, and I won't need to be the family computer expert anymore. They can just say, hey, Copilot, to rearrange settings and fix problems or whatnot. It's not there yet. I've seen some of the demos of people that have gotten their hands on it. It's definitely not there yet. But that's kind of the idea that's going on, that if you give it the privacy permissions that it needs to open the apps and do the things, that eventually it'll be able to fix itself, which is awesome, and it takes away a headache. But it makes me think that future generations, maybe not Gen Zers, but even younger generations coming up, won't know how to really use computers the same way millennials and Gen Zers do, right? They'll be more like the older generation. Like, they'll know how to use it better because they have younger brains, but instead of trying to figure it out, they'll just ask the AI to do it for them. There are many pluses and minuses when it comes to this new world of AI. Part of me, I go back and forth on it. There's always been machine learning algorithms, and by far in the last year, AI has exploded and become much better, but behind the scenes, they've been working on it for many decades. And a lot of it is, of course, marketing ploy, and it is an incredible tool, don't get me wrong, and I like to dive into it and play with it. I've done lots of stuff in Midjourney. I'm now learning DALL-E 3. I'm probably behind the times in a lot of ways and ahead of the times in a lot of ways as well. What's different about AI versus, say, NFTs of last year is that AI does have value, and it is here to stay. But that doesn't mean that the companies aren't pushing it as hard as they can, especially Microsoft with their big $10 billion investment to OpenAI, or whatever it was. I think that's what it was, that they are going to try to use it at every corner and push it as hard as they can. And like I talked about in the last podcast, is that I hope they don't overdo it. Because when it comes to Windows, and I am a PC person, I like customization, I build computers, and it's a fun thing to do. I also mess around with different Linux and stuff like that. I've recently gotten into that in the last year or so. And Microsoft can be quite frustrating, as many of us know. They make baffling decisions at times, and sometimes they haven't been able to handle their own UI of just regular stuff. And now they're trying to implement all this AI stuff. And from the demos that I've seen, that some of it looks very impressive, and other parts look a little bit like, why didn't you come out with this in 6 months from now? And that's just it, is they want to come out with it as fast as they can so they can sell as much as they can. And that's what corporations do. I remember I was really into a game called Final Fantasy XIV when the NFT stuff happened. And during that time, they were talking about bringing NFTs into everything. And I think that once the hate comes down, the NFTs will make a return once people forget why they hated them and all that. Me personally, I've always been of the opinion, even then, before the scams and all that, when the technology was first emerging, I never became like a big supporter nor big denier of it. I think it is a really cool technology that has cool implementations, but like anything else, too much is too much, and all these companies used it as a marketing ploy, and it basically blew up in their face because other people, and some of those people, used it to their advantage and tried to take too much too quick, and irresponsible people. And I lost money at FTX too, which is kind of a separate thing with crypto. It's amazing technology. I think crypto, I think NFTs are amazing technologies that are getting the boot, and the government doesn't like it for various reasons that I'm not going to discuss on this podcast. It's all marketing. They want the money. They don't care about you. They don't care about me. They care about the money. That's all they care about. That being said, AI is here to stay, and I think it's up to every generation, but especially our generation, who might be a little scared of it, who might be in the position that our parents were in when Yahoo and Microsoft started coming up, and the Macintosh and all this technology that came up when we were kids and changed the world as we knew it. All our parents were afraid. Some of them adapted, but a lot of them fell behind. And although my mom spends most of her time watching Netflix and is on her iPad all the time, there's very little she understands when it comes to technology. I sometimes wonder if she understands that Netflix actually even comes from the internet. Now, I love my mom. I loved my grandma before she died. I think my dad actually stayed with the times a little more than most people his age. But the point is that a lot of them fell behind, and now it is our generation's turn to either fall behind or stay with the times, because kids growing up with the AI are going to know how to implement the AI much better than anybody our age. And I'm speaking to you, Gen Z, as well. I'm only a little older. Younger the brain, more adaptive it is. At the same time, people that do adapt, that are Gen Zers and millennials and even X generation for that matter, and even people that are boomers that have continued to evolve, they have all that information, and then if they continue to evolve, they'll just have more. They'll know how to run AI and be able to do it by themselves, so they'll know when AI is doing it wrong and be able to maybe prompt it better. There's going to be a whole generation of people once AI matures that are probably about 5 or something right now, maybe younger, maybe older, and they're not going to know how to do things on the computer by themselves, but we will. And if we continue to learn AI and adapt with the times, we're going to know quite a bit more than these kids. And of course, there's always exceptions to every matter. I shouldn't need to say that, but this is the internet. So I will say that everybody's an individual. And when I talk about generations of any kind or groups of people, it is broad, right? It's broad. It's a percentage. Now, another thing I've been thinking about is the implementation of AI into things, right? And the privacy, all of it. And actually, Microsoft, out of privacy, if you're paying for a 3.6 cloud membership, which I never have, and maybe not ever will, privacy is an issue. And do you want them scraping your data? All of our data has been scraped. Recently it has come out, I just saw an awesome video. I'll try to remember to link it down in the description. It's a video essay. Can't remember the name of the creator. I recently just found him. I actually saw some of his content before, but this is the first one where I'm like, whoa, dude, like everybody needs to know that, and that's why I'm mentioning it. And I'm gonna try to remember to link his description or his video in the description. And that is that BetterHelp's data privacy is bad. And when you can't trust people that claimed HIPAA, they claimed everything was confidential, doctor-patient confidentiality, and now they're basically saying that it's all good to sell transcripts of doctor-patient client privilege stuff to Facebook, because the truth is that a psychologist is not a psychiatrist, and really that's not a doctor. So I guess even though they were claiming privacy and they were claiming HIPAA on their website up until recently, that stuff has all been breached and it's all being sold to Meta. And then I'm doing this thing where I'm implementing, and let me know if any of you done this. I'm just now doing it. I've been using different AI tools and web browsers like the rest of us, right? But I'm trying to implement AI into Obsidian. But my hesitation is, do I want, is it gonna, it's gonna scrape, that's the benefit of it, right? Is it's gonna scrape through all my notes and be able to link them all together and come out with new prompts and organization cues from what I already have in Obsidian. But do I really want to do that? There's nothing that important. And I've recently, I use Obsidian and I use Notion, and Notion is just so darn convenient. As many of us know, I become very reliant on it. I've become very reliant on Google services for that matter. What do I do it for? But what if I do come out with something that's super creative, and then the AI bot scrapes it, and suddenly my creativity without me even knowing gets pushed, from before AI, if somebody came out with a similar idea to you, the chances are it was a coincidence. But now that AI is a thing, it's possible that little bits of prompts could prompt something that was recently scraped from somebody's Google Cloud or Obsidian Vault, because they implemented AI, and now yes, it's helping the person that implemented it, but it's also phoning home and adding to the conglomerate of knowledge that is artificial intelligence. We're all slowly becoming the Borg. Resistance is futile, and if you resist, you will be left behind, and for lack of a better word, you will become obsolete. It's going to be very, very interesting. I have a friend that I've been talking to that I'm hoping to get on this podcast virtually. He said he was going to be in the area in March. And I want to open up this podcast to other people, because it is just that, is a podcast. And by the way, this is a good time to plug my other channel, which is not a podcast. They're highly edited and scripted depending on which videos you watch. Some of my earlier videos, I was still learning, so don't judge. But some of my newer videos I'm pretty proud of, so go check out that. That link will also be in the description. The person I'm talking about, I've known since I was 12 or 13. I met him in middle school. I remember actually going to computer class with him, and yeah, we were a couple troublemakers back then. But I want to talk to him because he is a really good drummer. He's a band guy. He's a musician. And I actually don't think AI is going to affect people of that. It's going to affect musicians. It's going to affect people that make rap music, beats. Look what they've done with fake Eminem and Kanye West and Jay-Z and all these different rappers. And it's really changing the music industry, and it's going to change the rock world too. But because they rely so heavily on live performances, and also the crowd that it is popular with isn't as accessible, they won't accept the technology as much, although they might not know what they're listening to at some point. If they find out an album's written by AI, they might not buy it, I think is more likely. It's just a speculation, but I think there's truth in it. I tend to like, heavy bass, techno, dubstep, rap. That's what makes my ears sing. But I want to talk to him about, because drum kits sucked. Ever since I was a kid, drums sucked. Electronic drum kits. It sounds great when you're making rap or dubstep or electronic music of any kind. But as soon as you try to like make it sound like an actual live band, there goes my GoPro. As soon as you make it sound like a live band, it's pretty much done. It never sounds like a live band up until recently. Now AI is changing the game and making it like you can basically do anything with it. You can make it sound like anything, which unlocks insane creativity. Like a real one person show can conduct the orchestra of their AI band into any sound they want, into any style they want. And maybe he'll get famous that way. Who knows? Yeah, it's an interesting time, especially in the rock scene, which is such a a team sport, for a lack of better description. I'm obviously not a rocker. I was into rock and roll. Rock and roll. See how much I really am into it. But I was into like punk rock and Slipknot, Rancid, and I like some of that stuff. Linkin Park, right? I quickly moved to rap music as soon as like I was 12 years old. What will the future look like? Will people be creative for creative's sake, which is what creativity is all about? But as professionals, as people wanting to make a living with creativity, or even just feeling justified, because if somebody can just press a button or program a program to make a similar sound, there's a part of your brain that says, why am I doing this? Like, if why would you do this? Like, I mean, people still take pictures after videos. You can grab a still from a video, and people are still taking pictures with their cell phones and with film cameras. So I don't think it will completely disappear, especially with 8 billion people on the planet, but it may discourage people from creating music the old-fashioned way as time goes on and as AI progresses. Although AI is going fast and it is like 2 or 3 steps away from whatever you want to call it, things always take slower and faster at the same time than previously thought. And when you take into consideration what I said earlier about marketing, is they want you to be led to believe that ChatGPT will be just insanely insane by next year, right? In a couple months from now. And although the upgrades are steady and true, it is a curve, and like computers continually get fast, but they really haven't drastically improved in the last, I'd say, 15 years. If you look at a computer from 15 years ago, of course, like computers are way better now, but it was so slow and there hasn't really been any giant leaps other than this AI thing. I'm not a fortune teller, but I just think that the whole thing transforming, it's done what it's done, and it's going to slowly keep doing it, and at some point there'll be another big jump, right? But that could be next year, that could be tomorrow, or that could be 10 years from now. So I just think, I'm going to keep video editing the way I video edit. I'm going to implement the tools that I can. I'm going to try to be the best that I can with what I got, whatever that is, both financially and technologically. And I'm going to adapt to the ever-changing world that is our world. And it's always been adapting. It's not just AI. Imagine how scary the internet must have felt to a 7-year-old back when it was coming out, right? And I ain't 70. I'm ready to adapt, but I'm not ready to be the Borg. I'm not really feeling all that keen with, like, as much as VR, say, excites me, as much as AI excites me. There's something about strapping something onto your face and tuning out the whole world. It seems like it would be fun. I mean, it seems like something I'd get super addicted to be honest. But I have a dog, friends, and I have family that I want to pay attention to. When I'm sitting on the couch on my computer, on my laptop, or on my phone, yes, I'm spaced out. Yes, it could be a problem, but it's nowhere as bad as having something strapped to your face. Maybe we'll talk about that in the next podcast coming tomorrow or the next day. I'm trying to make these like semi-daily, or at least every other day. Once I start getting guests on, maybe it'll go down to once a week or something. I don't know. If you want to be on the podcast, if you think you have something to say, let me know. Doesn't have to be anything special. Just have your opinion, be nice. You know what I mean? Like this isn't a place for hate. This isn't a place to categorize people. in any unfair way, right? This is an open-minded platform I'm trying to build. It's a discussion about creativity meets technology, and where does it all lead? What is the future? I think you get the hint. And thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.